Hi, my name's Eleanor Limprecht, and I'm participating in Booktopia's World Book Day celebration. My absolute favorite book ever is a book that changed the way that I look at the world. It's Beloved by Toni Morrison. This novel's based on the true story of an escaped slave in 1856 who crossed the river from Kentucky into Ohio seeking freedom. Instead, she was captured and she ended up killing her daughter so that her daughter would not have to return to slavery. Beloved showed me in just extraordinary prose the intergenerational trauma of slavery. As readers, we're involved in every step of making meaning in this story, and we see the world through the changing point of view of many characters. We come to understand on our own why a mother would rather kill her child than have her live as a slave. The structure and story of the book taught me more than traditional history books ever taught me about slavery, because they brought me into the true horrors, from a slave ship to the lives of emancipated slaves who are haunted by the ghosts of their lost family. I read before I go to sleep every night, and sometimes I read before I get out of bed in the morning. I think it's why I have such vivid dreams. They're a combination of the books that I've read and stories from my own life and my imagination. I also love to read in our living room, which doesn't have a television, which really helps. I often put on some music, and there's a sort of faded red sofa that I love to curl up on. And I pour either a cup of tea or a glass of wine, depending on the time of day. And my dog Jupiter seems to know that it's a special time, and he often curls up beside me. He's not a calm dog normally. He's a Kelpie cattle dog cross, but he enjoys reading time as well. I'm convinced of it. Today I'm going to be reading Gilgamesh by Joan London, which will be a special treat. I've been saving it up for the Easter holidays. I just love Joan London's spare and measured prose, her stories which are huge but are told in these poetic sentences. And this story is about a mother's search for the father of her child from Australia to Armenia via England and Mesopotamia, all at the very beginning, or as the Second World War is beginning. She just has the most amazing descriptions of characters as well, which is another reason why I love Joan London. My latest novel, my fourth novel, The Coast, is released on the 31st of May with Allen and Unwin. It's the story of Alice, a young girl who ends up with her mother at the leprosy lazaret at the Coast Hospital at Little Bay in 1910. It's about the way that people who suffered from leprosy, which is now called Hansen's disease, were isolated and spurned, and they were locked up for life with no cure and very little treatment. In spite of their predicament, though, these patients had access to this beautiful sandstone-edged beach at Little Bay, a rowboat, a piano, and a library of books. But it will be through love, eventually, that Alice finds some escape, and that she'll come to know something of the world outside the high walls of the lazaret. I live in Maroubra, not far from Little Bay, and I spent a great deal of time researching this novel and walking in the bush around Little Bay, through the Coast Hospital Cemetery, which holds the crumbling gravestones of leprosy patients, alongside others who died in the hospital. The gravestones with only first names are leprosy patients because they changed their names after entering the lazaret so their families wouldn't be associated with their so-called contamination. I finished writing this novel during the COVID pandemic, which gave me even greater insight into the repercussions of isolation, segregation, and the fear of disease. So thank you, Booktopia, for having me to talk about my favorite books, and happy reading to everyone. I can't think of a more delightful way to spend a few hours every day.